Good morning, students. So, in this video, we will be discussing part 2 of the chapter One Friday Morning. So, in part 1, we discussed how Nancy Lee was called by her vice principal and she was awarded for painting a very beautiful picture, and she has prepared her speech for Friday's morning assembly. Now, let us see what happens further. Page 49, last line. Thus, Nancy Lee went to sleep, dreaming of a wonderful tomorrow. At school on Friday morning, Nancy Lee was asked to see Miss O'Shea in her office again. Soon after, Nancy Lee knocked at Miss O'Shea's door. "Come in," came Miss O'Shea's voice. The vice principal stood at her desk. There was no one else in the room. "Sit down, Nancy Lee," she said. Miss O'Shea did not smile. There was a long pause. "I do not know how to tell you what I have to say," the elderly woman began. "I am ashamed for myself and for this city." Then she lifted her eyes and looked at Nancy Lee in the neat blue dress sitting there before her. "You're not to receive the award this morning." Outside, the electric bells rang, loud and long. Miss O'Shea remained silent. Then she said, "When the committee learned that you were colored, they changed their plans." Nancy Lee said nothing. So, in the given lines, we find that Nancy Lee could not win the contest, and although her drawing was good, her biggest dream to win scholarship remained unfulfilled because committee had taken back the prize. The reason was that she was a colored girl, and because of what society thought of her race. Nancy is really sad and shocked on hearing the news. Now, students, I want you to imagine yourself at Nancy's place and think, how would you react if you were given this news? Nancy Lee was denied the award because she was a colored girl, and I think it was very unfortunate. She should have won the contest because she deserved the prize. And I think you will also agree, students, that racial discrimination should be stopped and everyone should be treated equal. Now, let us read further. "Nancy Lee, I am very sorry to have to give you this message. But my speech," Nancy Lee said, "was about—" the word stuck in her throat. "About America." Miss O'Shea had risen and stood looking out of the window. "I know," said Miss O'Shea, slowly facing the room again. "Those who deny you this award do not know the meaning of the stars in our flag. But it's up to us to make them know. As a teacher, I will go before the school board and ask them to remove the offer of any prizes or awards denied to any student because of race or color." Miss O'Shea's clear blue eyes looked into those of the girl before her. The woman's eyes were full of strength and courage. "Lift up your head, Nancy Lee, and smile at me," Miss O'Shea said. Nancy Lee lifted her head and smiled. The bell for assembly rang. She went through the long hall towards the auditorium. There will be other awards, Nancy Lee thought. There are schools in other cities. This won't keep me down. But when I am a woman, I'll fight to see that these things don't happen to other girls as this happened to me. And men and women like Miss O'Shea will help me. So, in the above paragraphs, we find Nancy clearly upset and she gets so emotional that her voice began to choke. Miss O'Shea, meanwhile, had risen and stood looking out of the window. So, this reaction shows that she is also disappointed and very sad. Miss O'Shea further states that people who have refused you the award does not know the stars in American flag represent equality and justice. She decides to reach out to the members of school board and she also decides to raise her voice against this injustice. She even suggests that Nancy should raise her head and should not be discouraged by this incident. So she tries to motivate Nancy. She teaches Nancy a lesson of courage and importance of not losing hope in the time of difficulty and injustice. And she suggests that irrespective of such problems, Nancy should keep trying and make her way Further, Nancy learns from her teacher and decides to fight against discrimination. And Nancy makes sure that such things should not happen to other girls as well. So rather than losing her heart, she decides she will help change the society, and there will be other awards that she can definitely win. So, children, this chapter is written by Langston Hughes. He was an American poet, novelist, and a social activist. He wrote novels, short stories, plays, poems, essays, and works for children. His short stories and poems are known for their insightful and colorful portrayal of life in America. His famous works are Fine Clothes to the Jew, I Wonder as I Wander, and Freedom's Plow, to name a few. So, students, author's message is that the America of 1940s, when the story was written, was far from the society of American dream of equality for all, and this concept was an ideal concept. But through the character of Miss O'Shea and Nancy, the author has made an appeal that people can raise their voice against such injustice and bring a change. And when this message reached the people of America, it led to civil rights movement, and later America began to make changes in its laws, and equality and justice became a part of its society. So I hope you like this chapter. Thank you.